Live on WFLA Now. This is Run for Fun with running enthusiast Leigh Spann.
All right, let's go. Welcome back to the Stream Center here at WFLA Now for this week's episode of Run for Fun. This show is designed to give you the tips and tricks that we've learned over the years to help make running and walking a little less overwhelming. That way it can be a part of your healthier lifestyle because you know what? You'll actually enjoy it. I'm your host, Leigh Spann. I'm a meteorologist here at WFLA, but I'm also an avid runner. And over the last dozen plus years of running, I have learned so much about running, and that has made it way more fun. The more I learn, the more I enjoy it. So I thought, why not start a show and then just tell people all these things so they don't have to go through quite as much trial and error. And joining me as she does every week is Coach Maria, the one who has taught me most of what I know. So welcome, Maria, from your at-home studio. You look great.
Hi. Oh, my goodness. I have an at-home studio.
You do have an at-home studio. And we're not even together, and we match.
I know. How do we do that? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're a little bit on the same wavelength here. So,
yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about because, first of all, Maria, our Strava group, I think it's because we were talking about it so much on the last podcast. Look at this. 100.
Oh, wow. We had a big jump.
We did have a huge jump. So if you don't know what this is, we talk about it every week. It's our Strava Run Group. So Strava is a free downloadable app you can put on your phone. And then as you go out and walk or run or exercise, it'll record it. And then this acts as sort of like a social media. So other people can see what you've done and ask questions, and you can look at what other people are doing. And then that just happens with people all over the world, but you can specifically join the groups and the clubs, the WFLA Run for Fun group, and then we can post information like what's happening tomorrow. It is the Global Running Day. The first Wednesday of every June is Global Running Day.
Yay for Global Running Day.
Yay. And people literally all over the world celebrate the exercise that we know and love of running and walking. And so my Loud Running group, as well as the Run for Fun show, will be hosting a Run the River Walk tomorrow, June 7th, at Stone's Throw, which is right outside of Armature Works. You can see the picture there. So we're just going to we're going to start signing people up at 5, and at 5:30, we're going to start walking and running. They'll be on the river walk. It's going to be a beautiful night. It's not going to be raining, which is a really good thing. We often have rain on summer evenings. This time we should not be seeing as much rain. There'll be people there with all different distances and speeds. And so please come join us. I have party favors for people who come, Maria.
Oh, exciting.
If you've
the
even seen
Riverwalk
it,
is so pretty too. I'm so jealous I'm not going to be there. Oh, look at
so they're
that.
stickers. So like I put it on the back of my phone case.
Oh, I love it.
So I'll be giving these out. So I hope to see everyone at the Global Running Day Run the Riverwalk in Tampa at Armature Works. Are you going to be
Awesome.
running in Global Running Day?
I will be running on Global Running Day. I'll be in Booth Bay Harbor running.
Where it's a lot cooler, although
It was 56 degrees this morning when I ran. I was so spoiled.
it is. That is something to be spoiled. So, and you ran this morning, which is sort of our topic for the day, right?
Yes.
The rundown consists of, what is the difference between running in the morning versus running in the evening? Because I actually get this question a lot. And so we're going to talk about the tips and tools for both of them, sort of the benefits, the pros and cons of both of them. Because what I always tell people is the best time to run is the time that you actually go out and do it on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to know yourself a little bit. But I do want to preface that by saying, don't let that hinder you either, because we can train our bodies to do anything we want to train our bodies to do. So
Right.
if you want to be a morning runner and you feel like it'll fit better in your schedule, you can train yourself to do that. So don't think you can't. That's not a thing that you are an early morning runner or you're a night runner. You can be anything you want.
Because we've in previous episodes, we've talked about how you have seasons in life. And maybe there's a season where you are able to get up and you're able to do it first thing in the morning. But maybe there's another season where you have to wait until after work. And so we're going to give you sort of ways to train your body, but also so that you feel good doing it, because if you're not fueling correctly, for instance, if you get up in the morning and don't eat, you're going to have a problem being a morning runner.
Yeah. And I also think it's sometimes good to be flexible because, if you're not sleeping well, or if something is, bothering that sleep pattern, it's better to actually sleep in a little bit and maybe do that run later in the day when you're more fueled and it's less harmful to your body. So your cortisol levels aren't as high. So we should be flexible.
Yes. And I, as a meteorologist, always have to tell people, to pay attention to the weather, because sometimes, and we'll talk about more about this, sometimes it is more humid and it's a lot harder to run in the morning, or it's extra cold in the morning. And then in the afternoons, you might have to deal with the summer thunderstorm. So each day, you need to watch the weather, because it can impact. If you can go back and forth from being a morning to an evening runner, based on the weather, that's really ideal.
Yes, definitely. If you're going to be a morning runner, let's just jump right into this. If you're going to be a morning runner, I suggest having a snack before bed. Something that's a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, and a little bit of carbs.
And this is just after dinner.
After dinner, like I would say before you go to bed. It is a misnomer that you shouldn't eat before bed. I mean, some people, obviously, if you have acid reflux or other problems, then you don't want to do that. But if your goal is to run in the morning, you have to have something in your system.
And you're not saying eat a bowl of ice, eat a whole tub of ice cream. You're saying
no, that will make you go to the bathroom in the morning on your run. But yeah, you want something light. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount of calories, just something, 200 to 300 calories, that will help you get to sleep better, and it will help with the recovery process overnight. And then you have a little bit in your system when you get up in the morning. Now, that doesn't mean you can skip your pre-morning run. Whatever you eat, you need to eat something pre-run as well, but it does kind of give you an extra added bonus. You can also do it by eating a little heavier dinner earlier. You can have a little bit more carbs with your dinner than you normally do. That can help with a run in the morning, especially if it's a hard run. If it's an easy run, you can get away with a little bit less. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is to make sure that you are eating in a way that's not going to cause bathroom issues.
That is so. If you look on, on the screen, I have have your clothes ready out ahead of time, but give yourself time, and that's let your body sort of wake up a little bit. Maybe do its business before you get out on that run. So if you eat a little bit of food, sometimes that can help that. But if you wake up, 5 minutes before you were planning on going out, you're not going to have time to process that food. You're just going to, you might have to then process it during the run.
Yeah. And the closeout the night before is a good one, because we want to give ourselves the least amount of excuses in the morning.
Yes.
There's a couple of tricks to that. I had a runner, Eva, you know who you are. She would sleep in her running clothes because she didn't want. She would sleep in her running clothes, so she didn't have to. It just took one step out in the morning, and it was one less excuse she had. So she would just get up and go. But you can also lay your clothes out the night before, so you're not looking through things in the morning. And then the other thing is your alarm. Don't press snooze on your alarm. Don't do it. Just make a negotiation with yourself that says, when this alarm goes off, I'm getting up, and you have like 5 seconds to hit that button and get up. There's no snoozing and then snoozing again.
Yes. And as someone who has, kind of fought the circadian rhythm for my job, that's the only way to do it. You cannot hit that snooze button. I do have a second alarm, because, I'll get up and I'll look at my phone, because I go to bed so early that I have missed a lot. I mean, the 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock time frame, a lot can happen in that in the evening, and that's what I've missed. But that second alarm is stop looking at the phone. Now get out of bed, because, okay, let me just make sure the world exists. Let me make sure I didn't, nothing major happened. And then I can say, okay, that second alarm goes off and the phone goes down, and feet on the floor, feet on the floor.
No excuses. And once you get up, you're fine.
Yes.
The other trick that I've done sometimes, if I've, struggled, I used to be the person that would wake up. If I set my alarm, I'd wake up 10 minutes before. I was able to do that. I don't know why. I can't do that anymore. I guess that was a trick in my 20s and 30s. Yes. But now, sometimes I set my alarm on the other side of the room.
Mhm.
So if I have to turn it off, I have to get up to turn it off. Once you get up to turn it off, you're not going back to
No.
bed.
And,
So that's another trick you can do.
and the partner may be real mad if you do let it keep
Yeah.
going. So,
And that's the other
yeah.
thing, a partner, if you're struggling with this and you really want to be a morning runner, find somebody that will meet you.
Mhm.
Because I know we always say we don't want to give up on ourselves and we want to meet ourselves. And that there is an element of truth to that, but you also need to be realistic and say, it's much easier to meet somebody else than it is to get myself up. And even my husband and I, we love to run in the morning and we can talk ourselves out of it sometimes. So we sometimes need to have a partner to meet because, oh, we can just stay and sleep in, and all the excuses start coming in like, oh man, we worked so hard yesterday and we haven't had a day off in a while and we should probably.
Mhm. We've all had those internal conversations, but
Yes.
and having said that, we also there are times when your body will say, beg you, please don't do this to me right now. I need this sleep. And then sometimes you
Yes.
have to listen to that because
Yes,
if you are
absolutely.
constantly running a deficit on sleep because you're never trying to miss a day, your body's gonna shut down.
Yeah. I hate that go hard or go home mentality. I
Right.
hate that. It's not good. And we do it in America so much. We're like, oh, you have to do it every day. Actually, I feel like that was one of the cool things that Dr. Heim said a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago when he was like, Americans, we just do everything in extremes. Like maybe we don't need to fast every day. Maybe we fast just a couple days or, it's the same thing with running. Like we don't have to be extreme about it. Remember, we also talked about being, part of being consistent is knowing when you need a break. And sometimes you do need a break.
And Maria's phrase is my favorite, which is don't let perfection get in the way of good. That would something
Yeah.
to that effect. So like
Yeah.
where you're doing really well, you're getting up every day and running, and then don't beat yourself up over that one day when you didn't go. Just the next day you get out there, but it didn't ruin the good by not being
Yeah.
perfect every day.
And let's talk about not making that up too.
Yeah, so you don't
A
have to
lot
make
of
that
people are
up.
like, oh, I got to make it up. I missed my morning run. I got to make it up the next day. And that drives me crazy because the reality of that is if you needed a break, you needed a break for a reason. So
Right.
if you add another run, you negate the break and your body needed a break. So don't do that.
And if you are consistent running as a morning runner and you give yourself a break and you don't wake up at the normal time and then decide not to go, if you say like tomorrow I am not running and you get that extra hour of sleep, it is magical.
Yeah,
Because
for
you're,
sure.
I mean, so know that that's part of being a flexible and consistent runner, that you're not trying to do this
Yeah.
for a week or a month or a day, I mean, or a year. You're trying to do this for the rest of your life. So there will be
Mhm.
plenty of times when you're not going to wake up and you're not going to go out for a run, and that is okay.
And if you're not good at listening to your body, there's a lot of us that are not good at that. One way to do it is to track your sleep. Track your sleep, track what you're doing, and then the numbers will tell you. Like if you're getting under 7 hours of sleep for multiple, days in a row, that's when you need a break. Let the numbers tell you. Or
Now,
I wear this little ring. I have the Aura
yeah,
ring.
I have my Garmin.
Yeah,
It's so
my
fun.
Aura ring tells me, hey, you didn't sleep well last night. Take it easy today. So if I'm trying to if I'm trying to keep a discipline going and I'm starting a runner, then I will say, hey, go for a walk. You could still go for a walk later in the day and get your sleep in and go for a walk. And that's never going to hurt you.
And that's where, if you are consistently, and this is just a question for you, Maria, if you are consistently getting less sleep because you've been trying to be a morning runner, should you try to then switch and, okay, maybe my
Yeah.
body needs to be an evening runner or,
Mhm.
or would like to do that more often?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to switch.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been running like in the evening a lot more than I ever used to, mostly because, well, partly I was trying to adapt to the heat when I was in Tampa and Jacksonville. But also because, I'm an empty nester now and I don't need to get up, and I've been staying up later with my husband. So when I stay up later, I got to sleep in more and you got to change it. So, and that does look a little differently. If you're going to be an evening runner, um, there's a couple ways to do it. If you're an afternoon runner in Tampa, I'm just going to say you're crazy because that is
I have tried it
brutal.
and it is
It is
brutal.
brutal.
Yeah.
I've done it before. Actually numerous times I've been that crazy person. I usually, if I'm going to do that, I keep it to 30 minutes. I don't go any more than 30 minutes because in the heat of the day, like that's never going to be good for your training.
It's never
I mean,
easy.
except for maybe, no, it's never easy. Like you can't even go slow enough to make it easy.
Right.
So I would say, an afternoon walk is fine, but I would wait till later in the evening. Like after dinner is actually a really nice time to run, but you got to kind of watch your dinner. A lot of times, if I'm going to run in the evening, I will split my dinner in half. So I eat half my dinner, like probably 90 minutes before my run, so it can have time to settle and I'm not feeling like I'm jostling around and uncomfortable. And then when I get back from my run, I eat the rest of my dinner.
Because you should always also eat something anyway. So as opposed to trying to get it
Yes.
all in before and then also eat something after, it's a great way. You're not exceeding some sort of, food amount, but you're eating it in a way that you get the fuel to be
Yes.
without feeling weighed down. That's why I wrote light food before, because if
Yes.
you've eaten, a heavy food, that's going to just make the run a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you have to have a different mindset if you're an evening runner. Because a lot of us, like this workday thing, the workday fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah.
And we can
it is.
talk ourselves out of that, especially if you have a job where you're working on your feet a lot, and you just want to come home and relax. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can come home and go right for your run. So you don't let yourself relax. You just kind of go do it. Or you come home and you say, I'm going to relax for X amount of time, or I'm going to eat something when I get home from work. Then I'm going to relax for an hour and a half and let the food digest. And then I'm going to go out for my run. But you can't negotiate with yourself because you kind of have to set a time and say, this is the time I'm going to go out, and then don't negotiate that time.
And I have,
because otherwise it'll get later and later and later. And then you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't run. It's 9:00 at night.
Yep.
I shouldn't do that.
Because I used to do that when I would get home from work. I would have lunch. I would come home from work, immediately put run clothes on. Immediately.
Yeah, smart.
Then I would
That's
eat.
Smart.
And then 90% of the time I finished eating, I let that settle. I would go out for the run. And then there would be the time where a couple of hours would go by and I'm like, well, I have sat in these clothes for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to take them off and put on my pajamas. And that is just what has happened. So it was always I let myself negotiate a little bit too long until it got, well, now I don't have time. Now I have to go to bed. So, but that's one thing is you can do. That did help me. That the first thing I did when I got home from work was put on running clothes before I even ate anything. And when you look down and you're fully dressed,
yeah,
there's a certain,
and then you kind of have to feel guilty about taking your run clothes off and putting your PJs on.
The 10% of times that I let that happen, I was real guilty, but it is what it is.
Yeah. The negotiations are strong at any way you do it. It's really like, actually yesterday Abby and I had said we were going to run at 8:30, and then we had this stuff going with the podcast, and then we had to go and get a new cable. So we had to drive an hour and a half, and we were running around doing all this crazy stuff. And Ab's like, we said we were going to run at 8:30, Mama. I'm like, okay. Well, by the time we got everything done, it was 3:30. And I'm like, oh, we're going for a run. But by 3:30, I'm like, oh, this is not my normal run time. I don't really want to do this. But I knew in the back of my head, I'm going to feel better when I do this.
Yes.
I know I'm going to do it. I know and then I used my 20-minute rule. I'm like, I'm just going to go out for 20 minutes. And we ended up running 4 miles.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, probably a mile in, Abby and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, this is so amazing. I feel so good. And I'm like, this is why we do it. You have to remember that it's a balance. It's not, that this is going to be hard to do, but you also know you're never going to regret it. You're never going to regret it. The only regret you're going to have is not doing it.
It's taking off the running clothes and putting on your pajamas.
When you're negotiating, remember that when you're negotiating with yourself, don't only negotiate the bad things, try to negotiate the good things. Oh, my endorphins are going to be pumped up and I'm going to feel really great for the rest of the night.
And a lot of people ask me, is there a benefit to one versus the other as far as time of running? Now, obviously we know that middle of the day, there is little benefit as far as long-term, trying to always go in the middle of the day, but
yeah, I mean, that's in Florida, but
in Florida, well, that's true in Florida.
I will tell you, I feel much better at night when I run. I can run faster at night. It's because I'm more fueled. I have more electrolytes in my system. So if you are a runner that is struggling with feeling good and your goal is to just get out there and build that habit, it might be better to go at night for you. If you're somebody that struggles with sleep at night, it can be tough to be an evening runner because that can get your endorphins up so high that you have trouble falling asleep. If you're that person, you might want to try the morning. You just kind of have to know your personality and what's going to fit with your schedule and be realistic about it
And
be able to be flexible.
so one of the things I've noticed about, going in on a morning versus an evening is my muscles have, I've been sedentary for hours, and
Yeah.
it is the first mile is so much slower because it's like you're waking up all of your body. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
I'm always surprised, even though if I go in the afternoon and evening, it's a hotter time, that I'm automatically faster without doing any extra work. It's because
Yeah.
I've already been moving around all day. I've already
You're
woken
warmed up.
yeah.
Yeah. Less injury prone. Problem is most of the races are in the morning. So if you're somebody that runs races, you gotta be able to run in the morning, and you got to be able to train your body. Cause again, we train our body to do, anything. We can train our body to do anything. So, if you have a race coming up that's in the morning, you better be getting up in the morning and training your body to be able to handle some food and get out the door and, know what it feels like that first mile. And you know what? In the morning, if you have a workout in the morning, you might need a little extra warm up.
Yeah.
So if I work out in the morning and I have like a faster workout, it takes me 20 to 30 minutes of easy running to warm up first. And then I'll do the workout. Whereas at night, it might take me 10 to 15 minutes to
Right.
warm up.
I've really noticed that difference is that
yeah, it's hugely different.
that I'm putting the same amount of effort in, and it's so much slower in the morning versus if I go out in the evening. And so people just need to, we talk about it a
Yeah.
lot, that pace isn't always important.
No, it's a feeling.
Right. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I was putting the same effort in and going very vastly different times, but it's just a warm up. But it always, when I first started, I was very surprised, and I couldn't tell until I realized, well, my body has been at rest for a very long time, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a little more uncomfortable when I try to wake everything up all at once. Meanwhile, I've been walking around at work, and I've been eating, and now, so you step out there in the evening, and it feels like, pretty easy just to jump into that pace.
Yeah, totally. Oh, my nose is running because
It's
it's 48 degrees in here right now.
So she is not in
Excuse me
Florida.
while I get the snot off my nose
Yes.
right now.
Yes, I've seen you do that many times.
Yeah.
In the running.
In the running, there's snot
In the
rockets.
running.
And podcasting now too, there's snot rockets apparently.
Apparently now. So one of the things that I did struggle with when on times when I run after work is how to eat during the day, and then the stress that can happen when I don't get to eat what I need, or now they need me to work an extra hour. Now do I eat? Now I'm starving. So how does someone, as they try to become an evening, or try to just start being consistent either way, but specifically for evening, because that's the one I've had trouble with. How do you plan out your day like that so that everything goes to that run?
You do have to plan out your day. And the problem that you can plan out your day, I usually, if I'm going to run in the early evening, I would have like a pretty decent lunch, but I would still be careful about my fat. Like that's what you really need to be careful about then if you're going to run before you're running.
Not because it
too
makes
much
you fat.
No,
Right.
It's just because it's going to give you too much digestive issues. So, or fiber. So like what worked for me was I'd have like a big turkey sandwich for lunch, and I'd have some pretzels with it or something. So you're getting like a pretty decent amount of carbs with not a tremendous amount of fat. And then like 2 hours later, have a small snack, like a granola bar. And then a lot of times, then if I get home, I would take a gel before I go, just to kind of top off my glycogen stores and go out, and so I feel good on my run. And then you shouldn't have a lot of digestive problems. And if you do, it's just because you need to train your body a little bit more, and just kind of be patient with it while it's working through the process of learning how to handle food in your stomach. I've been doing it so long now that I can literally eat something and walk out the door and run, and it doesn't bother me anymore. But I've trained my body over 25 years of running to be able to handle food, because the fueled runner is the faster runner. So you need to be able to tolerate the fuel if you want to run fast.
And so that's what, what was stressing me out is that I would have my right amount of food, in the middle of my work day. But then as the day got longer, I needed to stay for whatever time, and I'm still trying to get out and run. And sometimes I was then underfueled because it had been an extra 2 hours that I didn't fuel for. And I didn't think about just a gel, just literally just something right before to give you that a little bit of fuel.
Yeah. And I would say all day long, every day, you're better off being overfueled than underfueled in every aspect.
Yes.
Like I don't even care if you carry around a little extra weight. If you're overfueled, your body is going to work better. It's just going to work better, and you're not going to have hormonal issues, and you're not going to have lack of iron issues. And so try to change the mindset of less is more, especially if you're a runner. Just really try to change that mindset.
Yeah, because hangry runners, hangry people are not exactly fun to be around, and
no,
it's
not fun.
Just the difference you can see with people after they've eaten, how their demeanor changes. They start talking more again, and that's kind of think about that happening to you just in your daily life. Imagine if you're trying to do extra, you're trying to run extra. You don't need to be that far in the hole and then try to do extra things like running. I mean, you're just trying to survive at that point with that low, when you're running low.
And remember, when you're habit stacking, if you're a person that really likes sweets, have something that you really like that's sweet before you run. Just because, that's my treat. Because here's the thing with eating something sweet before you run, it's not only going to help fuel you, but you don't get the insulin spike that you get. You're not going to get that because actually, I just read a study the other day that if you eat something sweet and you even go vacuum for an hour afterwards, your insulin level stays lower than it would if you just went and sat on the couch. So,
because you're using the fuel.
Yeah, you're using the fuel. And so don't be afraid to have, I know JB doesn't like Milk Duds, but I like Milk Duds, and I had some before my run the other day. And I'm not afraid of that because, hey, I'm going to use this as fuel, and this is kind of a treat for me during my day. And, I'm habit stacking.
Yes. And, that goes to whatever time of day. We've talked before in previous episodes. We talk a lot about mainly morning runners, which is why today I wanted to put a little more emphasis on the evening runners. But if you haven't listened to the previous episodes about this, on what to eat before, during, and after a run, there's an episode about that. But let's give people sort of an overview on that, where in the morning, before a run, what are some of the things that you need to have in your system before you ever go out and hit the pavement?
In the morning?
Either one. But specifically, let's talk about mornings. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to have 6 to 8 ounces of water before you go out, or some kind of electrolyte drink. And you want to have like 100 to 200 calories of some carbohydrates. And it doesn't matter what kind of carbohydrates. Like people, we have the good carb, bad carb thing. It's not the thing. It's just not a thing. Like
for runners.
What?
For runners.
I didn't. For runners. Yeah. Just get out the door and with whatever carbs are easily digestible for you.
Right, because you love Fig Newtons.
Yes, I love Fig Newtons.
I do the honey stingers, which are basically, you probably had a little Stroop waffle. It's a little thin waffle that has worked perfectly for me. I don't even notice that it's in, like, because sometimes I can eat things and I feel like it's the first thing I've put in my system, so it kind of sits heavy. This doesn't, but I had to go through many things before I found what really worked. So just please don't get up and go for a run without having anything in the morning. You've gone a long time while you've been sleeping without food.
Yeah, without anything.
And coffee, that's a personal choice. That's not right.
Yeah, coffee is a personal choice. Because the older that you get, the harder coffee can be on your body too. So, and please don't just drink coffee and go for a run. Right. Like that's the worst thing you can do for your body, to be honest. Like at least put something in your body with the coffee. because coffee elevates your cortisol too. So then if you're elevating your cortisol from coffee, then you're elevating it from running, and you're also elevating it from not eating. Woo!
Yeah.
You're going to suffer later in life.
That fight or flight syndrome is going to
Yeah,
be
it's
real high
really,
all the time. So
yes,
we
all
want
the
to
time.
take care of ourselves. So that's just if you haven't listened to that episode, you can always go back and watch it, because we focused a lot on the on morning runners, but that's why I've had such a tough time with evening, because I couldn't regiment it as well as I can when I run in the morning, and because it is. I'm at work. What can I eat at work? Which a turkey sandwich is a wonderful idea. I'm going to keep that in mind, and some pretzels. But it's then when I got home, okay, now I'm starving. What do I do about running? Do I just go? So then I would sit and I would eat, and that's when I could negotiate myself. It was harder to get off the couch after I had sat there for an hour after eating. So it just it didn't work as well for me, but because it took so much effort, I felt like.
Well, an overtraining syndrome, which is very common right now, actually, because we love to abuse our bodies with running. If you are somebody that's overtrained, you should run it in the evening because of that reason with the cortisol. Your cortisol can be just too high in the morning to run and get the benefits from it. So you might have to change to an evening runner at that point, just so because your body's under less stress because it's more fueled, it's got more electrolytes, it's more ready to go at night. So if you're struggling with overtraining, which I actually like to call under recovering, because it's not always, you don't have to run a whole lot of miles to be overtrained. You just have to eat poorly and not recover. So or not get enough sleep, but we'll do another whole episode on that. But if that's something, you might have to train yourself to be an evening runner for a little bit.
And how would someone know that they are overtrained or under recovered? What will they feel like?
You start to feel fatigued all the time. You feel fatigued 20 minutes after a run very often. Your legs feel heavy all the time. Your performance suffers. Your performance will go from you'll be feeling really good in a race to not being able to hit your numbers. You won't be able to hit your numbers on the track anymore. Your performance is really and it's not just one bad run. It's literally like weeks and weeks and weeks of bad runs. And your heart rate will be elevated. Your resting heart rate will be elevated, and your daily heart rate on runs will be elevated, like every day.
Yes, because you're never giving yourself a chance to rest.
Yeah.
And then if that happens, what do you suggest people do other than take a break from running? I mean, is there something they can be doing? The cross training? What would you suggest? Yeah.
I could do a whole episode on that.
And we will.
We will. But yeah, rest is really the most important thing when you get overtrained. It really is the most important thing. And that doesn't mean, sit on your butt and eat bonbons, but it means like go for a walk, try to do some yoga, try to do some meditation, and really just eat more. Like typically it's, I read a study yesterday that said that 62% of females undereat when they're running.
I was going to say
62%.
I would have guessed higher.
Yeah, it's 33% for men, which that's still a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about like our group of runners, that's a significant amount of people.
Yes. And do you think that people don't realize? I mean, because I don't think that for those of us who really enjoy running, we're not constantly trying to also lose weight generally, but you just maybe don't realize how much food that you need because of all of this extra exercise.
Yeah, and a lot of us just typically have a more healthy lifestyle. So if you're eating healthy food and you're eating fruits and vegetables, that doesn't have a lot of calories. So if you're eating, you have to eat a ton of fruit and vegetables to come up with enough calories to run even 4 to 5 miles a day. That's a lot on the body. To us, we think, 4 to 5 miles a day, that's nothing. 4 to 5 miles a day is a lot. You're burning 400 to 500 calories a day. So,
and we can also remember what it was like to only run 4 or 5 miles and felt like that, and so there are people I'm sure who were listening who were thinking that is a lot. I remember when it was a lot.
Yeah.
And so
even 3 miles a day is a lot.
Yeah.
Like 3, that's a lot. It's a lot more than most people do. So just take that into consideration. That's a whole nother snack. So if
Yeah.
you're not eating a whole nother snack in your day, it can come up on you quickly. And the big thing about running at night that worries me is sometimes people worry about those digestive issues, and so they don't eat as much because they're afraid to eat when
Yeah,
you're
'cause
running at night,
yeah.
because I don't want to have digestive issues. And it happens a lot of times with fueling before a race too, because people are afraid of those digestive issues. And I would say it's better to go to the porta potty and lose a couple minutes than it is to harm your body. So don't be afraid of that. Like just try to plan your runs accordingly if you struggle with that. And like the slide says, if you're running at night, you need to be visible. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
There's, with everybody texting on the roads, I've had a couple friends that have been hit by cars. So you want to be as visible as you can. And they make all sorts of clothing for that now. So, and you can wear a vest or wear a light. But they actually have clothing that lights up now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. The headlamp is the old school way, but you walk into a running store, there are ways to be visible. There's highly reflective clothes that because in the summer, I mean, the sun doesn't even set. I mean, where you are, I don't know that it ever sets, but
Yeah.
but here it's setting, like 8:30, it's still bright at 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to say, okay, well, I'm going to wait till it cools down. I mean, you're going out at 9, 10 o'clock. So again, just sometimes in the summer, you just kind of have to, there's not really a time when it's going to be dark, but this is also, you're going to try to do this in the winter when it could start getting dark at 4 or 5 in the evening. And then you just, kind of keep that in mind that even if you left your house when it was daylight, if you're going to be gone for 45 minutes or an hour, it can go significantly from light to dark in that 45 minutes.
Yeah. And be sure that you're paying attention to your feet. Pick up your feet. That fatigue before work, like when you come off a work shift and you're tired, our tendency is to not pick up your feet because you're just tired. Or even in the morning, if you're not fueled properly, you don't want to pick up your feet. But it's even more important when you're running in the dark because you just can't see things all the time, and you can fall and get hurt. And that doesn't make for fun running if you fall and get hurt.
Yes, and that can help, if you have some sort of light, a headlamp or something like that to help.
For sure.
But there are just little divots in the road that if you're skimming the ground like we do sometimes when we're tired, especially after work, or if you're in a high training cycle, you're not lifting your feet very far, and it does not take much to hit that and topple right over. I know I kind of did a skip the other day, and I've tried to even look back, like, what did I even trip over? But it was like, the tiniest little drop in the road, which meant I certainly wasn't lifting my foot very high, but it caught me right at the right time. I didn't fall, but it scared me a little bit.
Yeah. And if you can hear your feet when you're running, pick them up. Pick up your feet. Yeah. It drives me crazy. Pick up your feet. Don't be a lazy runner. Yeah. Don't be a lazy runner.
Okay, so sort of the things that we've talked about, I'm going to kind of wrap this up, Maria, is that anybody can be either runner. There's not a morning runner type and an evening runner type. It's how you prepare, and you can always prepare. You can train your body. You just have to do the work one way or the other. You can't just expect you can't just expect that it's going to be right no matter what time you go out.
Yeah, and I was thinking this morning about this podcast, and I was like, what do I really want people to know? And the thing that I learned in the past, I've learned this in the last 5 years, really, that this training ourselves to be something different is funny because, I talk about the stories we tell ourselves. And I had a sleep specialist say to me, there's no such thing as a morning person or a night person. And it kind of blew my mind. I was like, what is going on? Like, I have always considered myself a morning person. And then we have all these like personality tests that we take now. And we're, like, I just took one the other day. I was an Enneagram 8. Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody wants to know, but
I can't remember what I am, but I took one too. Took it too. Because it's fun.
So and we take these personality tests. And then I think to myself, what is happening is we take the personality test and then we're like, oh, this is the way I am. this is the way I am. This is how the world needs to deal with me. And I thought about it this morning and I'm like, if you put those two things together, maybe us taking a personality test is to maybe think of ways that we can interact better with the world as opposed to making the world interact better with us. So maybe we should be able to train our personality to do a certain thing differently that we do in a growth mindset, as opposed to I am who I am and you have to put up with me.
And we hear
And
that from
this,
people all the time. Like, well, that's who
yes,
I am. And it's like,
that you
well,
do you, it's
yeah,
a you do you. And I'm like, well, no, maybe we shouldn't do us as much as, I mean, maybe there's times in life that we need to be more flexible. And that's the cool thing about running. It kind of, if we don't get in that crazy, this is how I am, we can enjoy running more if we can be a little bit more flexible with our personality traits, and maybe there are things that we can train in our personality to be different, and we'd be surprised at what we could accomplish when we don't conform to a certain set standard.
yeah. And I think anyone
Yeah.
who has ever tried something new, I mean, again, we can even look back to when we started running.
Yeah.
That well, look what it has brought us because we were willing to decide this is something that we wanted
Yeah.
to do. I mean, I was certain, I'd gone 27 years of life with thinking
Yeah.
running was weird. And then I took it up and who would know that I would have a show and I would basically, my life is centered around running all
Yeah.
the time. I mean, it's because I was willing to try it.
Yeah, and even with the morning versus evening runner, I've really enjoyed running in the evening lately. I never thought that would be me. I've spent 20 years raising children and getting up early and getting out the door, and now I'm just like, wow, I really look forward to like going at night.
Yeah.
It's like if I feel like a new person, like I didn't even know that I had this in me. And so maybe try something new occasionally and try to maybe figure out how you feel your best when you're running. And maybe that's when you should try to go out, because when you feel your best is what you're going to stick to.
Right. And that's what's more important. Is
Yeah, for
all
sure.
of all the benefits, if one you constantly talk yourself out of doing it, and one you're able to do it more consistently, then that's the one you're going to get the most benefits from.
Yeah,
It's
for
not
sure.
it's not the time of day. But you were just talking about kind of getting out of your comfort zone, Maria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I'm getting out of it right
yeah,
now.
you
I'm about
are.
to
So
tell you.
we have upped the ante on the coach's drill. So we were at 3 minutes. Coach was just flying through that.
Oh, I'm scared about this. This is going to be hard, Leigh.
So we cut it down to a minute. Coach has 1 minute to talk about anything she wants, and only 1 minute now. She had 3 minutes. We've cut it down to one. So today's topic, she was just alluding to it some. It's getting out of your comfort zone. So let's go. Let's go.
All right. So I asked my grandmother before she died 2 years ago, what she thought the biggest problem with our generation was. And she said, you don't let your kids be uncomfortable very often. And I was shocked to hear that. I'm like, of all the things, social media and all those things, this is what you say. And I thought about that a lot. I've thought about it over the last couple of years, and she's absolutely right. We are so afraid to get out of our comfort zone. We're so afraid to do things differently than we normally do. And that's kind of where the edge of excitement ends up. And we can do so much more than we thought we could do if we just try new things and aren't afraid of being uncomfortable. And maybe if we sit in the uncomfortable for a little bit, we might find something really interesting out about ourselves. And we might learn something new about our personality, and we might discover we like something we never thought we would like before.
You made it all the way to the end. So I mean, obviously we were just talking about that. I mean, going into trying something new, whether it's running or walking to begin with, or whether it's changing when you go, you just never know what that's going to lead to. And your grandma is very smart, as we already know.
Yeah. And I got to brag on my baby girl for a minute, because she grew up with the like worst anxiety. Like she's just a high anxiety kid, and she doesn't go with the flow. And we have kind of trained her out of this her whole life. She has been the only one in our family all of us are laid back except Abby. And she was always frustrated because she just wanted to do things her way. And we just came up to Booth Bay Harbor and we rented a cottage that has
In Maine.
in Maine. Yeah. It has no heat. And it has been 46 and raining since Saturday. And she has learned to walk through life with going with the flow. And she has not complained one time. And even I learned from her what she has made it a fun adventure for us. We've been sleeping together and watching movies, and she's even been helping me work with the podcast. And there's not a complaint out of her. I am like, she has trained herself to be uncomfortable and even take it to the next level and have fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm like so proud of her. And we can learn so much from our kids, man. We can learn so much from them.
Well, I'll just learn from your kids because that is a wonderful thing to learn. Again, I've been able to see Abby come through high school, actually middle school, high school, and now in college, and she is lovely to be around. She is, just.
It is cold. My nose is running, and we were like, you could see our breath in our own house.
Yeah.
In the house. And it's been a really fun adventure. And I appreciate all of my clients that told me to buy space heaters and all that stuff, but it's going to be for 1 week and it's going to get warmer. So it's kind of silly to go. I'm just going to sit in the uncomfortable for a little bit and see what happens to my life. I'm cold plunge sleeping is what I'm doing.
Your muscles will be very relaxed when this is all over. Well, I'm so glad to have you coming from your at-home studio. You will be back in our studio in a couple of weeks, but we're glad this all worked. And we'll all sit in the uncomfortable some this week. That'll be sort of our goal.
Pick something to do outside of your comfort zone. Just one thing.
Just one, sitting in a 40-degree house. You're already check.
Yeah. Maybe you should try a cold plunge, Leigh.
I would do it.
Oh, I think we should do it.
Okay.
I did it the other day. I only got up to my navel in 50 degrees. It is really hard, but I'd love to see you do it.
All right. Challenge accepted. All right, Maria, we'll see you. Stay warm. Bye. We'll see you next week.
Bye.